Hi, welcome to the mathcenter.com. I want to say a few words about what we're going to cover in the first session. I'm talking about our intensive Add Maths revision. I repeat, our intensive online Add Maths 0606, our IGCSE revision classes, which are starting at the end of August, 29th of August. I want to say a few words about what we're covering during the first session. Like I said in my earlier video, it's going to be 3 hours, 3 hours per session, but I also said that it won't be one continuous 3-hour stretch. We'll break it after every 45 minutes or so. But what we're going to cover, the main things, right? The main things will be, number one, we're going to be dealing with quadratics. There's a reason why I call it just quadratics, because when we talk about quadratics, I'm going to tell you all the things that you need to know about. Number one, quadratic equations. Okay, so quadratic equations, we will talk about the roots. Equations have roots, yeah. Some people like to say equations have solutions. That's fine too. A solution to an equation is also called a root. So we will talk about the, let me put that here in brackets, yeah. We'll talk about the roots of quadratic equations, because at most a quadratic equation can have is 2 roots. So you can have 2 real and distinct roots. You can have 2 real and equal roots, and then you can have no real roots. Okay, so at most you can have is 2 roots in a quadratic equation. Remember, quadratic equation is a general form will be what? Ax squared, let me write it here, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So we'll talk about the roots of equations, and we'll talk about, maybe very quickly, the formula that you have on your formula sheet, yeah, x equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 2a, okay, 4ac over 2a. So this is the formula that you see in your formula sheet, yeah. They give it to you, so you don't have to memorize it, but most of us in this line, we know it really well. Minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And I also tell you b squared minus 4ac is known as the discriminant. Yeah, discriminant. So, and then I'll tell you how to use that to talk about real roots, how to talk about when you have a case where you have no real roots and so on. Okay, so that's the first thing that we'll cover. And then we'll talk about quadratic functions. Okay, so quadratic functions, I will tell you about the general form, okay, which is y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, this is a quadratic function, yeah. Sometimes we like to write it f of x, yeah, ax squared plus bx plus c. So when we talk about quadratic functions, I'll tell you about one of the most important things will be what? How do you recognize the shape of the curve? And because you'll be asked to sketch quadratic functions. So you can have, okay, when a is bigger than 0, you have a minimum point curve. Okay, when when a is negative, okay, when a is less than 0, you have a maximum point curve, and so I'll tell you about those things. Okay, and also we'll cover how to complete the squares. Yeah, complete the squares. Very important. Yeah. Okay, complete the squares. So I'll take you through quadratic functions. How do you sketch them? What is a minimum point curve, like I've shown you here? What is a maximum point curve? What are the coordinates of the minimum point? What are the coordinates of the maximum point? How do you complete the squares? The reason we complete the squares is so that we can have something like this. Yeah. Okay. Ax plus h squared plus k. Okay. Then we'll draw some conclusions. We can write down what is the equation of the axis of symmetry and stuff like that. Okay. Good. And then what else? We are also going to cover, let me put one arrow here, quadratic inequalities. Okay, I'll show you how to deal with quadratic inequalities. I'll show you both using the graphs, okay, and using what we call the number line method. So I'll show you how to do that. It's not difficult to do, it's pretty easy. Yeah? Quadratic inequalities, quadratic equations, quadratic functions. we'll also be looking at in the first session. We'll also be looking at, because there's a section in your syllabus where they expect you to, let me erase the board, and then I have more space here. I can talk about it. Okay, where you're going to deal with. Let me check with this chart. Can they see this?
Yes,
Points of
yes.
intersection. Yeah.
Good,
Points
great.
of intersection. Yeah. So you're going to have a few cases. Yeah, where you're going to have a straight line and a curve. It will cut at 2 points, or it can be a case where it will be tangential, so it touches the curve. Okay, so this is tangential, and also there'll also be a case where your line does not cut the curve. I repeat. So this, I'm going to talk about it under a broad area called points of intersection. So you have a straight line and a curve. They'll give you the equations, and you can have a case where it cuts at 2 points. You can have a case where the line will just touch the curve, tangential, or it can be a case where the line does not cut. You need to know all three cases. Okay, so we'll cover that as well. This is where we are going to use things like, those of you who have already done this before, you will be using things like this here, and then we have, okay, and we have, okay, discriminant analysis, yeah, discriminant. So we'll set up a quadratic, and then if this is the case, we'll have b squared minus 4ac is bigger than 0, and then if it's tangential, we have b squared minus 4ac equal to 0, and when it doesn't cut the curve, you'll have b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So we'll cover all these things. And what else? The other thing is, I'll also spend a few minutes and tell you about how to deal with simultaneous equations. Okay, simultaneous equations. I have to tell you how to deal with simultaneous equations because you'll be given one linear and one quadratic, say. Okay, okay, you'll be given one linear function, and you'll be given one, let's say, one quadratic. It doesn't have to be quadratic, but you will at least have one straight line. So which means we are going to use the method of substitution. Okay, so the reason I want to tell you about this is because you will find that it's easy to earn marks, and I don't want you to make mistakes. There's only one technique we are going to use when we deal with simultaneous equations for Add Maths, which is the method of substitution. So I'll go through that. And the final 45 minutes or so, I will take you through indices. Yeah. Okay. The final 45 minutes or so, I will take you through. Let me write it here. Indices and search. Okay. Under indices, we will cover what? We will cover all the rules of indices. Yeah. We will cover all the rules of indices. Okay, and then I will take you through. Operations involving indices, rules of indices, operations. Okay, and finally, solving equations involving the variable is in the index. So we call it an index equation, or some people like to call it an exponential equation, which means what I mean is this. Yeah. This is the simplest case. It will never come on the exam. Yeah, 2 raised to the power. This is a variable. This is the index. So we'll be dealing with equations like this. So these are the main things. Rules of indices. Some operations involving indices. These are all important. Yeah. Okay. These are all important. Easy marks to obtain on an exam. So you don't want to miss that. And then we have search. Under search, I will take you through basically what search are. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is how we write an example of a search, and then we will talk about what the main thing. Yeah, the main thing is what? Okay, the main thing which will be rationalizing the denominator. Okay, rationalizing the denominator. It's not a big deal. Okay, when you rationalize the denominator, basically you are using the idea, the difference of squares. Yeah. Excuse me. This is the only idea we're using. But we want to make sure that we get this correct. Rationalizing the denominator, which means we are going to remove the square root symbol from the denominator. So to do that, we'll use the difference in squares, a minus b and a plus b. So we'll cover all these things in the first session. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in my class, and must be prepared to work, yeah, because it's something that I want to do really well, and which you also want to do well. Please tell your parents to join us. Yeah? Tell your parents to join us. No problem at all. Yeah, in fact, your parents can sit in and listen into what we're learning, and your parents can even if they want to take part in the class, that's fine too. Okay, so I will see you guys on the 29th when I'm starting, and it will be a weekly session, and we will make sure that I will make sure that I'm there to answer all your questions. Anytime you're not sure about something, you can just send a picture of the question to Ms. Chan, and she will make sure that I get it, and I'll get back to you like within a few hours. Yeah? No big deal. So the important thing is you must be prepared to work hard, and I'm on your side. So we will cover all this material, and then the following week I'm going to be doing things like the remainder theorem, the factor theorem, and then there'll be some functions. There'll be all sorts of exciting stuff. Okay, so I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Please join us. Please share this video as much as you can. Give it a like. Join me on Facebook. Join me on YouTube. And click on the link below for any details. Please get in touch with this channel. Thank you very much.